Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
1 2.
Check.
I don't think I've got any guitar.
Okay.
Check.
Whoa, what do I hear? It's whistling. Whistling.
Check 1 2 1 2.
Check.
1 2.
Check.
I don't think the wind has calmed down at all.
I don't think so.
Check.
So, folks, give me a wave if you're listening in the radio and you can hear.
Or maybe a honk.
All right.
There you go.
So it's coming through on your radio? Great.
Oh,
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Here's one called Spread a Little Love. A 1 2, a 1 2 3. Sometimes this crazy world can make us all feel bad. I sit and watch the news and just get mad. We need to stop and smell the roses in the ground. Head out today, spread a little love around.
Talk to your neighbor. Volunteer a favor. Help out a stranger when his car broke down. Give your wife a kissin'. When your kids talk, listen.
It makes
A lovely sound. Spread a little love around.
You know it don't take much to make somebody's day. A kind word and tender touch goes a long way. We can change the whole world if we start in our hometown. So get out today, spread a little love around.
Tell your mom you love her. Bear hug your brother. Take your sister to a night out on the town. Throw the ball to Rover. Wrestle in the clover.
Put a
Tell that old hound. Spread a little love around.
slap your mama's
fanny. Tickle on old granny. Dance with the kids and act just like a clown. little tiny kiss and hug. Everybody needs that style. Turn a smile upside down, spread a little love around.
When this world gets you down,
Spread a little love around.
spread a little love.
That's the means. That's your mean, Seth. That's your mean, Seth. Your mean, buddy. That EQ down.
Somebody's getting back.
So here's a song that we did with Bill many, many, many times. It's called Turn Your Radio On.
That's really. I hope the key's in the key of G. That's a G that's humming back, Ernest.
All right, here we go. Turn your radio on. Come on. 2, 1. Welcome and listening to a radio station where the mighty host of heaven sing. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Be a believer, learning on the truth that we never falls. Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with
Turn
God.
your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
And listen
To the music in the air.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio
It's
on.
glory share.
Glory share.
Turn your lights down low.
Turn your lights down low.
And listen
to the Master's radio.
Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with
Turn
God.
your radio on.
Turn your radio
Hey, welcome.
on.
Well, everybody has a radio receiver. All you gotta do is listen for the call. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
And listening, you will be a believer, learning all the truths that were never false. Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with
Turn your
God.
radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
And listen to the
Music in the air.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
It's glory share.
Glory share.
Turn your lights down low.
Turn your lights down low.
And listen to the
Master's radio.
Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with God.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
We'll listen to the songs of the fathers and mothers and the many friends gone on before. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio
Some
on.
eternal morning we shall greet them over on the hallelujah shore. Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with
Turn your
God.
radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
And listen to the
Music in the air.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio
It's
on.
glory share.
Glory share.
Turn your lights down low.
Turn your lights down low.
And listen to the
Master's radio.
Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with God.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with
Turn your
God.
radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with
Turn
God.
your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Thank you. As we
Hey, now.
honor Bill today, we want to remember his musicianship, among other things. He was a member of our band here, and he played the harmonica and he played the Irish whistle. And we want to do a couple Irish songs now in Bill's memory, songs that he played with us many, many times. The Boys of Blue Hill, and then let's do a little Inisheer right afterwards. So, a little Irish for you.
The wind isn't a factor in the whistle, so hopefully the wind won't blow the tones away.
A little Inisheer, Jerry. Here's a beautiful slow Irish waltz that Bill also played many times with us. A beautiful song called Inisheer.
Okay.
Thank you for bearing with us and our friendly wind today. We'll do one more before we officially begin this afternoon. An old gospel tune that Bill loved to sing harmony on called The Sweet By and By. There's a land that is fairer than day, and by faith we can see it afar, for the Father waits over the way to prepare us a dwelling place there. In the sweet by and by, we will meet on that beautiful shore.
By and by,
In the
sweet by and by, we will meet on that beautiful shore.
We shall sing on that beautiful shore the melodious songs of the blessed, and our spirit shall sorrow no more. Not a sigh for the blessing of rest. In the sweet
By and by,
we will
meet on that beautiful shore. By and by,
in the sweet by and by,
we will meet on that beautiful shore.
To our bountiful Father above, we will offer our tribute of praise for the glorious gift of His love, for the blessings that hallow our days. In the sweet by and by, we will meet on that beautiful shore.
By and by,
In the sweet
by and by, we will meet on that beautiful shore.
In the
sweet
by and by, we will meet on that beautiful shore.
By and by,
In the sweet
by and by, we will meet on that beautiful shore. We will meet on that beautiful shore.
That feedback is on the same pitch.
And it's only when we're not playing.
I'm going to turn the mic this way for a little while. So welcome everyone. Welcome this afternoon. This a memorial for Bill Gossman, our friend, our family member of our community, and a member of our band. On behalf of Bill's family, thank you for your presence here today. Whether it's on foot or on a bicycle, whether it's in your car, listening on the radio, watching on TV, we're grateful for your presence as we celebrate our family member, colleague, and friend, Bill Gossman. And just a gentle reminder to you today, we ask that you would be so kind as to stay in your cars if that's possible, and respect social distancing whenever you can to give everyone a measure of safety. If you're listening today, you can also catch it on a live streaming feed on YouTube that will be on the website of the funeral home, and it's also being broadcast on 101.9 this afternoon locally. Bill loved people, and Bill loved music, and so we're going to hear a lot of that this afternoon. We're going to hear from a lot of folks. We're going to hear some good music, and we look forward to this time of remembering. And maybe we'll even learn some new things about Bill through these different folks and through their music. Our own time with Bill started about 25 years ago when the Green Lake Bluegrass Band was just getting its start. He joined us almost right away and was an important member of the group. He and Jerry Setveit, because of their love for Irish music, encouraged us to try and add some Irish tunes to our bluegrass repertoire. And we in our audience liked it so much that we quickly added some more and even expanded to other styles like folk music and country. That's one of the small snapshots of what Bill brought to all of us. That is to be willing to try new things, to think differently, expand your repertoire, look outward, embrace others and new ideas, all while holding fast to what you know and to who you are. That was quite a gift. One other quick memory that I'd like to share before I let the others weigh in. I remember visiting Bill one day in his studio. He was throwing pots. Actually, it was mugs. And he was working fast. I remember our conversation was wide-ranging and thoughtful, but he never slowed his work. Every mug came out looking exactly like the one before. He literally was doing two things at once and doing them both very well. Through pots and having an intelligent conversation at the same time. Now, I can't do that. And in fact, I've heard that most men can't do that. Women are much more gifted in that area. But Bill could do it. He had that ability. Muscle memory, he said, when I asked him how he could make them all so perfect and still visit with me. Just another small but amazing thing I observed and remember about my time with him. I was in the garden this past week on a Wednesday. I was weeding. I was thinking about Bill. I was thinking about today. I was thinking about his family. And a phrase came into my head. The phrase was, "Rest well." And I played with that for a little bit, and it morphed into a song. And we'd like to perform it for you today, and please be kind. We haven't played it before, so we hope it's all right. But this is kind of my recollections of Bill and my hopes and prayers for him. Rest well, Brother Bill. Rest well.
Hum is in the right key. Hum is in G. It's the right key.
Not too fast. 1, 2, 1.
Rest well, Brother Bill, rest well.
You still had stories to tell. And those stories linger on in every tale and every song. Rest well, Brother Bill, rest well. You earned so many titles, and just to name a few, Master Potter, Mr. Mayor, and a fine musician too. Loving father, faithful spouse, but somehow in the end, we just say we're blessed to call him friend. Rest well, Brother Bill, rest well. You still have stories to tell. Those stories linger on in every tale and every song. Rest well, Brother Bill, rest well. Hey, Jerry! Led us with your wisdom, told a joke or two. You taught us some amazing things that only fire can do. You stretched your hand so far and wide from our community and helped us see our own humanity. Rest well, Brother Bill, rest well. You still have stories to tell. Those stories linger on in every tale and every song. Rest well, Brother Bill, rest well. Rest well, Brother Bill, rest well. You still had stories to tell. Those stories linger on in every tale and every song. Rest well, Brother Bill, rest well. Rest well, Brother Bill, rest well. Rest well, Brother Bill. I'm going to let the band be seated now. And we're going to hear from a number of people. And we're going to hear some recordings this afternoon. So I'd like to invite Bill's son Yice up to kind of set up this first song that we're going to have played for us. Yice?
Thank you, Dave, for the music. It's amazing what music can do and how we think about it. I'm just looking at all these cars in their own little sound systems, and I recall this song because it was an offhand remark that my dad made once, that he'd like this song played at his funeral. We were in Wisconsin at a pottery fair. We were listening to some music with a friend, Mark Skudlorik, another potter, and that's what he said. So this is his song.
Now I'd like to invite one of Bill's brothers to the podium, Jeff Cahill, who is also a musician from the Rochester area. He's going to share some tales of growing up with Bill and even a little bit of music.
I'll be out in a while. I just wanted to get a little space in between myself and Van Morrison. Well, I've probably known Bill longer than anybody. I was there at his birth. And one of the earliest memories that I have of my brother Bill, well, he couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 years old. We were in Farmersburg, Iowa, and he was washing dishes. And he sat on a little a high chair there, and he was washing dishes. And every time he'd go to rinse one, he'd pour all the water all over himself. And Mom finally put a raincoat on him. She said, well, the floor needed to get mopped anyway, but that was very, very funny. How can you laugh in the eyes of defeat? How can you smile when the odds are not beat? How can you keep going on like you do? Surrounded by bad luck, no money too. It's the places we've been and the times that we've had. Remember the good, forget the bad. As you travel along, keep the faith and be kind. You'll always be a good friend of mine. As you travel along, keep the faith and be kind. You'll always be a good friend of mine. You know that you have your friends, they are near and they're far. Happiness is never having to worry if you are. Stand and be strong, stand and be firm. And if you're going to be friends, you gotta do it on their terms. It's the places we've been and the times that we've had. Remember the good, forget the bad. As you travel along, keep the faith and be kind. You'll always be a good friend of mine. As you travel along, keep the faith and be kind. You'll always be a good friend of mine. Whether you're here or whether you're gone, the fondest of memories as life passes on. Yesterday, tomorrow, or who knows when. Wherever you are, you're always a friend. It's the places we've been and the times that we've had. Remember the good, forget the bad. As you travel along, keep the faith and be kind. You'll always be a good friend of mine. As you travel along, keep the faith and be kind. You'll always be a good friend of mine. Oh, thank you so much. I remember in the early 70s, Bill was doing production work for John Coyner Pottery, and across the street there was Smith's Leather Shop, and that's where I was working, so we got to have lunch a bunch during that period of his life. And one weekend, I don't even know how to start this because it's just too weird. Memorial Weekend, we used to have these parties in Millville, just outside of Rochester, on the Zumbro River, that we called the Freakers and Beer Drinkers Ball. And I didn't even know Bill was in town, but we're down there partying, playing music, sitting around the campfire, playing music, just having a good time. And all of a sudden it started raining. So we put the instruments away and continued to sit around the campfire. And my buddy Scott Knutson, apparently, we all had our raincoats on and I didn't have my hood up. Apparently Scott filled up my hood with beer. And unbeknownst to me, of course. Oh! Thanks, but he didn't like the red hat anyway. It symbolizes too so much weird. Oh, that's okay. Bye, Don. And Scott says, put your hood up. Your hair's getting all wet. So I did that, and beer ran all over me. And he went, you rotten. And he took off running, and I ran out after him. His hood came off, and I reached out and I grabbed him. His feet went out and boom, landed right in a big mud puddle. Well, that was the beginning. After that, before you knew it, everybody was covered in mud, and we were jumping in the river to clean off. All of a sudden, Bill shows up. So, hey, where'd you come from? And needless to say, he joined right in the frolics, and we were there for the better part of 2 days, rolling around in the mud, having a good time. And it cleared up a bunch. We got to play music. And we got home. Boy, was our mom mad. He said, what are you guys doing here anyway? What's going on? So, well, we were having a party. And we had to go to the backyard and hose ourselves off and throw our clothes away. But that's good. I mean, we had such a good time that week, and I always remember that. One of the other things that I remember was going over to Denmark and being part of the wedding. And I got off the train, and I felt like I was in the Old West because it was a wooden platform. And I looked around, there was nothing around there, and I'm going, oh, what? This is Denmark? Looks just like Wyoming. And I got out on the street and I walked the wrong way, and I went, oh, I better turn around because I can't speak Danish and I have no idea where I am. I turned around and walked and said, well, there's the train depot. And as I'm walking up there, Bill and Siri came walking down, and we got back out to your place, and the first thing he did was hand me a paintbrush and said, this place needs to be painted. Which was a continued thing because every time I went to visit, he gave me projects to do. Now, I remember once coming up there, and I was painting the inside of the house. And I had a 5-gallon bucket of paint, and I had my pan for rolling, and I was rolling around the wall, and I turned around and went, oh, no! And Leah was standing right in the middle of the paint bucket. She was 2 or something like that, so I picked her up, and I shook her off, and I went, what am I going to do with all this paint? So I started rubbing her on the wall. And Bill came in. He says, what are you doing to my daughter? I said, painting. She got into the bucket. And he goes, oh, yeah, well, we got to get the rest of this paint off her. So he picked her up and started painting the other side of the wall with her. And the whole time, Lee was just giggling and giggling and giggling. So it's a story I won't forget. I could go on about all the canoe trips that we were on, but I'd save it for the other guys. Well, after Bill passed, I went home, went back to Dave's house, and sat down and I wrote this. And which is my want. I don't know why I do this, but start out writing something really nice, and it ends up being somewhat political. And I took that out of it. We are family, nothing could be better. Our family is love when we're all together. Through thick and through thin, whether right or wrong, we are family, we all belong. We shall carry on, we shall carry on, and we will always remember. We shall carry on. Sisters, brothers, cousins, uncles and aunts, mothers and fathers, grandparents. When we're all together, we are a happy song. That song will go on and on and on. For we shall carry on. We shall carry on. We will always remember, and we shall carry on. Oh, the love that's in our family is positive and good. I feel for those who don't have the love that they should. Now that we are very lucky to have the friends we do, and I hope that you all realize that you are family too. Oh, we shall all belong. we shall all belong. We will always remember, we shall carry on. Now the passing of a brother, how fragile life can be, but there's beauty in all living things if only we could see that we're all in this together, and together we'll be strong. And if we respect all life will carry on. Oh, we shall carry on. Yes, we shall carry on. We will always remember, and we shall carry on. Yes, we will always remember, we will carry on. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, folks. Well, get it out of your way.
No wipes. Thank you, Jeff. So among Bill's many pursuits was also one of the most unusual, I think, given his vocation. He was an artistic type, made his living at that, and normally, I don't think, at least the artists I know aren't always attracted to government jobs. But Bill found his way that direction after no one else seemed to be interested. He said, well, okay, I'll give it a whirl. And he became the mayor of New London. And to represent the city of New London and the city council, we've invited Eric Hattelstead to come and share a few thoughts from the city. Eric, thank you.
All right. For the last few years, I've had the honor of serving on the New London City Council with our beloved Mayor Bill Gossman. Bill was everything you could hope for in a mayor of a town like New London. Always cheerful and lighthearted, seemingly omnipresent in the community, and willing to listen to anybody, no matter what their gripe may be or how unconventional their ideas. There have been few people and few families that are as quintessential to New London as the Gossman family. Sitting with Bill at the city council table was far from my first introduction to the Gossman family. I can count Siri, Yice, and Leah as some early childhood friends who I met when Bill and Yana first came to the area. I have such warm memories of being at kiln firings, goofing around and learning Spanish around the Gossman's kitchen table while growing up. I've been blessed to remain close to this wonderful family of goofballs and to work side by side with them in this community today. To my dear friends, Yana, Siri, Leah, Yice, and Bethany, the entire community and I are absolutely heartbroken at your loss, and we grieve alongside you. We all truly miss our friend and leader, and it does not seem real that he should be taken from us so soon. One of my favorite things about Bill was how he valued getting everyone involved and participating in everything, from pottery to politics. Even if they were a beginner, Bill made even the most complex things approachable for people. To me, Bill's mantra was don't take even the most difficult things so seriously, and don't sweat the small stuff. Bill's ability to create an atmosphere where people felt comfortable to laugh, to have big conversations, and to build a community together was, to me, the cornerstone of Bill's presence in the world. One of my favorite memories of Bill turns out to be a formative one for me. One evening when I was a teenager, the Gossman family was visiting, and I decided to share some jokes with them at the expense of our president at the time. Bill was pretty amused by my teenage sense of humor, but he had something that he thought was even better to share with me. And that was a writer named Noam Chomsky. "What a ridiculous name," I remember him saying. "You should check some of his stuff out." Now, for those of you familiar with the writings and works of linguist, philosopher, and cognitive scientist Noam Chomsky, whose works include Manufacturing Consent, The Political Economy of Mass Media, and Cartesian Linguistics, a chapter in History of Rationalist Thought, condensing these ideas to a 13-year-old down to guy with a funny name is pretty funny. But to me is such a great encapsulation of Bill. His modest way of bringing things down to earth is part of what made Bill so special. And I'm sure many of us who knew him have at least one memory where Bill made a big difference in our life. I remember recalling this memory to Bill a couple of years ago as we sat down at the brewery after after a city council meeting, which we did on a regular basis. And I recalled this memory to him, and we started talking about what Mr. Noam's ideas could mean for the future of New London, and it was a great conversation. Bill's outlook on life reminds me of the wise words of folk singer and activist Pete Seeger when he said, "I've never sung anywhere without giving the people listening to me a chance to join in. As a kid, as a man touring the USA and the world, I guess it's kind of a religion with me. Participation. That's what's going to save the human race." Bill's life and legacy should inspire us all to renew our commitment to community. When we participate like Bill did in community, we become part of each other's lives, just like Bill became part of ours. And even when we are gone, we will continue to leave our memory and impact behind, whether it's warm memories in our hearts or a piece of pottery in our homes. While Bill will always live in our hearts and in pieces of pottery scattered seemingly everywhere across this community, his memory will also be remembered, especially in New London, on June 7th, Bill Gossman Day. On this first Bill Gossman Day, let us remember the community spirit, the laughter, and the love that Bill and the Gossman family have shared with us.
Thank you, Eric. And now it's my pleasure to invite Bill's kids to the stage. Siri and Leah and Yais. Bethany, I don't know if you're coming along too. Okay, you're going to stay there. We were talking the other day as we were planning this memorial, talking about some of the different aspects of Bill's personality and his interests. And what we discovered, or at least what I discovered, was that all of those things are embodied in his children in different ways. Some of them shine brighter as artists, some of them shine brighter as outdoors people, some of them shine brighter as getting involved in the community. And so we thought it appropriate that they could all share some of their remembrances of their dad with us this afternoon. So Siri, Leah, Yais, thank you for sharing your dad with us today, too.
All this first. I don't have anything to say. It doesn't help.
No. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Siri. I'm Bill's oldest daughter. I want to share a little excerpt of a reading that was read at one of my best friend's weddings 2 years ago. It reminded me of my dad just because we've gone canoeing together many times, and one time when we were kids, we went to an island in the Boundary Waters. I think you guys remember that. There was like an eagle on a rock.
A squirrel ate his toothbrush.
Squirrel ate your toothbrush? Yeah, that was a good one. Anyhow, last year I went back to that island with my friend whose wedding I went to, where this excerpt was read, and it just reminds me of my dad because I always think of people as islands in a way, and I always have to remember that we're not islands. So this is from The Pine Island Paradox by Kathleen Dean Moore. Again and again, I face an island's paradox. Not even an island is an island, but any geographer will tell you that an island is, in fact, only a high point in the continuous skin of the planet, the small part we can see of the hidden substance that connects everything on Earth. It's a sign, a beautiful rock-solid, bird-spattered sign of the wholeness of being, the intricate interdependencies that link people and places. Love has as its object daughter, son, young woman who loves sun, sudden quiet, a certain combination of smells, mist swimming with light, a white canoe, a fog-bound island, hidden cove, and the man who can drive a boat through any squall. This list is, of course, incomplete. Add northern pike. Add unexpected sun. I stretch my back and start 2 lists. What does it mean to love a person? What does it mean to love a place? Before long, I've discovered I've made 2 copies of the same list. To love a person and a place means at least this. Number 1, to want to be near it physically. Number 2, to want to know everything about it, its stories, its moods, what it looks like by moonlight. Number 3, to rejoice in the fact of it. Number 4, to fear its loss and grieve for its injuries. 5, to protect it fiercely, mindlessly, futilely, and maybe tragically, but to be helpless to do otherwise. Number 6, to be transformed in its presence, lifted, lighter on your feet, transparent, open to everything beautiful and new. 7, to want to be joined with it, taken in by it, lost in it. 8, to want the best for it. 9, desperately. I know there's something important missing from my list, but I'm struggling to put it into words. Loving isn't just a state of being, it's a way of acting in the world. Love isn't a sort of bliss, it's a kind of work. To love a person is to act lovingly towards him, to make his needs my own. To love a place is to care for it, to keep it healthy, to attend to its needs. Obligation grows from love. It is a natural shape of caring. Number 10, I write in my notebook, to love a person or a place is to take responsibility for its well-being. And I think Bill loved New London, and I hope you all do too.
Talk about getting painted.
Once I was a paintbrush. Apparently. Exhilarating. You guys speak up, guys.
Okay.
No mumbling.
In 9th grade, I wrote an essay about my dad, an essay in Mary Haug's class, an essay about my desire to be like him. It wasn't just about him, but a particular form of success that I thought he embodied. This was before he had become mayor. So perhaps it had something to do with the general outlook on life I thought he projected to the world, an outlook he had without knowing it. I don't remember if I showed this essay to him. The essay is lost, but there are a few things I think I have learned since I wrote it. Number 1. I learned quickly and early on from him that nothing is certain and that everything is temporary. I learned this in his workshop, where I would insert myself as he was busy with any number of tasks of the pottery process. A story I often share. He had finished a large vase, taller than me, and it was slowly turning and drying on the wheel. It was time to go into the house, so he asked me to stop the wheel turning. I obliged and stepped on the operator's pedal, which may have been backwards or I was unaware of its mechanics. The wheel did not slow down, but sped up quickly, and I frantically tried to catch the wobbling pot that was being flung from its place. I was in tears as I looked up to him, with a crumpled mess of wet clay between my arms and the floor. He took a deep breath and told me it was okay. He could make another. He told me to consider it a collaborative sculpture. And he found me sometime later, now jumping on the pile of clay with some glee, eager to leave my mark by footprint on this piece of ours. Number 2. It isn't necessary that anything in particular must happen. In fact, sometimes it's more interesting when nothing happens. Dad told me at some point that his favorite part of the pottery process was the cooling period of the kiln. This is the period after the kiln has been heated to a sufficient temperature and before it can be unbricked and opened up to see the results of the firing. He said he liked this period because he could imagine how the work had turned out, unbound by any material results. I think what I was trying to say in my 9th grade essay was how I wanted my success to be open like my father's. When he let me stomp on his destroyed vase, he taught me that things must transform. When he waited to see what his wares would turn out to be, he taught me to find some exhilaration in the unknown. These were not any pieces of advice he articulated, nor could he have, but parts of him that he simply carried in action. My dad was a quiet person, curious and introspective. It is my hunch that he used art to get closer to people, to find some commonality where none could be assumed. This was his spirit, a generous openness. My hope is that those privileged to have encountered the spirit of my dad can take some part of it along with them. I usually have to be prepared to improvise, but now I'm prepared. The Parting Glass is the song we're going to play next. This is a song from a movie called Waking Ned Devine, which you should see because you can find comedy in death. But this song isn't that funny. It's sentimental, but he liked Ireland. I think he liked the music of Ireland, and I think this song really struck a chord with him. Enjoy the song.
siúd a héad an mí, is iad a legus dúr an bád. Thugam mar linne a gunnean trá, bed buoch haar lám a bháis.
All the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and all the harm I've ever done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass, good night and joy be to you all. They're sorry for my going away, and all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. Since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I gently rise and softly call, good night. Gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be to you all. So fill to me the parting glass and drink a health whate'er befalls. Then gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be to you all.
Thank you. And finally, this afternoon we'd like to welcome to the podium Bill's wife, Yenna, who has some thoughts and some thank yous that she'd like to share with all of you gathered this afternoon. Yenna?
I was told by a couple of people that normally the spouse does not speak at a funeral, but I guess I'm not that normal. For those of you who know me really well, I like to think I'm special. We all do. But that's probably also why I married a special guy. So I want to start out just saying thank you to a lot of people. This last 5 months, many of you may or may not know, has been a blur. We were pretty excited actually. Last fall we were going to be down at the Main Street store, and Bill was feeling good, and his high school buddies came up from Rochester and moving stuff in, and all these old guys. It was like one, I think, had a stroke, and the other one was like, "Are you sure?" Yep, we're gonna come and help our buddy. We moved in, and Bill was feeling a little funny, but not till about Christmas time. We need to get some answers. So beginning of January, went to Mayo and had a pretty bad cancer. It kind of sucks. So, and it's been a blur since then, I have to tell you. Things are not quite real to me yet. So I want to just start out by the easy thing, and that's to say thank you. So many people to thank. The doctors, the nurses at Mayo Clinic, at Rice Hospital, Rice Cancer Center, Rice Hospice, my former co-workers suddenly were in my home, and me being the wife, not the hospice nurse. I want to thank Dr. Terry Peterson, who teased me a lot when we first moved here 30 years ago, and he said, "Jana, you keep saying you're moving back to Denmark." "Oh yeah, next year, Dr. Peterson." And finally he just said, "You're never gonna move back, are you?" Well, I guess we'll try it for a few more years. I guess he was right. We're still here 30 years later. But I also want to thank our wonderful and primary physician, Dr. Rick Wessler, who's been a steadfast, who's been a rock. He's been, he's a friend. He's a community member extraordinaire. And I don't know how Bill and I would have gone through this without his assistance. His compassion during these last 5 months was just amazing. Officials, City of New London, the council members, who I guess had to put up with Bill during all these city council meetings, and he was a quiet leader, that's what I've been told. I participated in the last council member by Zoom, where Bill ran the meeting about a month ago. I also want to thank the staff, wonderful people, the fire department, and the ambulance staff. Even when Bill was feeling the worst, the day he went to the hospital, he managed to joke with the first responders. I gave him a kiss before he went in the ambulance. I said, "Well, I'll see you when I see you," and he said, "Well, you can't come." "No, that stupid virus, I can't come to the hospital." And he just smiled and he said, "Well, I guess I have to go find another nurse wife in the hospital." I mean, he was always joking, and it wasn't just to forget about the sadness. It was just his nature. I want to thank Steve Marr and his staff from the funeral home. Thank you for keeping me on the straight and narrow with all these creative kids and a community that usually, remembrance like this, maybe a little different, but again, you made it happen, Steve. And of course, Dave Eliason, who've known Bill for a long time. Thank you so much for taking on the lead in officiating this memorial service. And the Green Lake Bible. Okay, thank you. I want to thank personally Carolyn Lang from the West Central Tribune. And I think she would be okay if I tell this, but Carolyn Lang and my Bill share the same birthday. So we have had lots of good memories on birthdays celebrating together. I want to thank Brett Blocker and Ted Almond from the Lakes Area Review. And I was told, I've seen it online, that there's an article from Jenna Ross in the Star Tribune. Whether it's out in today's, I don't know. But interesting enough, if you read that article from the Star Tribune, there's a link to when she was here 2 years ago. She was here 2 years on the day of Bill's death, the 26th of May. And then again, all the citizens of New London that have just taken us in like we're family, because we're a pretty small family, we've already gathered that. We have lots of family on Bill's side all over the country, but they can't be here because of that stupid virus. So that means a lot that this town, and then all our friends, and Bill and I have always prided ourselves of making everybody our friend. Sometimes people don't even want to be my friend, but I'm just like, if you know me, you're my friend. So, during the last 5 months, it has been made very clear to me that Bill was loved by many. So I'm trying to put words on something where words fail me. And for those of you who know me, I usually have a few words to say about just about anything. The many tributes to Bill in the form of photos, articles, videos speak for themselves. And they speak of a man named Bill, or Billy like his aunts always called him, or sometime endearing term of Billy Boy. I used to sing, can you bake a cherry pie, Billy Boy, Billy Boy? So Bill had this natural ability to be the calm presence, and that especially was shining during challenging times, whether it was illness in the family or his mother's death. But he was always the rock. He was just like this quiet rock to so many people. For me, he was a moss-covered rock that I could rest my back against. And I will always remember that he carried me through some very hard times in our lives. As human beings on this earth today, 2020, June 7th, we all know that the year 2020 or 2020 has been extraordinarily challenging, beyond words. For me, the year 2020, I'm calling it the year of the layers of grief. The first layer started with Bill's cancer diagnosis in January. On top of that layer, the pandemic broke out. On top of the pandemic came the financial economic loss for so many people, and struggles of people trying to stay close but not too close, and trying to open their business but couldn't open their business. And when do we open up, and how do we do this? And Bill stayed calm through all of this. The next layer was on Memorial Day, May 25th, when George Floyd was killed. On Memorial Day. 12 hours later, Tuesday morning, June 26th, my children and I and Bethany, we surrounded Bill with love and had him at home and was able to keep him very comfortable. And we let him fly out the window and down to the river, and I'm still paddling with him up that river, no matter how much the wind is, and he is just everywhere. We have a layer of our collective grief too. And I'm not going to go into that because I don't have enough time, because that could take a long time to talk about our collective grief on this earth. But the grief I am experiencing and the loss of my dreams of more traveling with Bill, just one more day, just one more trip to Denmark, just one more trip where Bill could go and see my mom, who he loved so dearly, and she called him his favorite son-in-law because there was only Bill. And I really remember very clearly, Siri, 30-some years ago, was a baby. And Bill came home. He had a side job besides doing pottery over in Denmark. He came home to this old farmhouse. It was a mess. I was sitting there with a baby, and I told him, can you just pick this stuff up? So he dutifully started picking it up and being a nice dad. And later on, I told that story to my mom, and she said, oh yeah, Bill, he's such a great dad. He's such a good man. And I told my mom, if he really is that great, why didn't you marry him? And now I can see Bill playing his penny whistle or just whistling a quiet tune while he's cooking dinner or out in his shop, and all I can say, I miss you. We miss you. The song I picked for one of the last songs to be played, I learned about a year ago when I was in Denmark. And little did I know it was written by one of my favorite old Danish rock icon, Kim Larsen. But it was sung by a Danish woman and with piano music, and it's called The Piano Man, and it's not Billy Joel. I tried to translate it, but here's my attempt. Quiet blues in minor and in May. Piano man, can you hear me? How is it in the land of the dead? Now you know, piano man. Is it cold and dark in the black grave, or is the sun shining as clear as amber? Are there songs and music in the land of the dead, and swing music, piano man? Are there songs of birds and clinking of glasses? Are there parties and colors all night long? Is there sunshine over Gudhjem in the land of the dead? Or is it just a deep good night? Is there sunshine over Gudhjem in the land of the dead? Or deep good night in the land of the dead? Now you know, piano man. Thank you.
Still the blues i Malhamai. Piano man, kan du høre mig? Hvordan står det til i de dødes land? Det ved du nu, piano man. Er der koldt og mørkt i den sorte grav? Eller stråler himlen som det klareste rav? Er der sang og musik i de dødes land? Og svinger det, piano man? Er der fuglesang og bærklang? Er der fest og farver hele natten lang? Er der sol over Gudhjem i de dødes land? Eller dybt godnat, piano man?
So in closing this afternoon, again, our thanks for your presence here today, and especially thanks for the way that you've supported Bill's family. Through the cards that you've sent, the emails, the posts, the tributes, the donations, and being with them today. Continue to remember Bill in the days ahead, especially as you move about town and encounter the many people and the items and the projects that Bill touched in our midst. And now, as kind of a benediction to this memorial this afternoon, we'd like to conclude with a song that Yenna alluded to called Down to the River to Pray. Bill sang the bass part on this song, and each voice comes in on the subsequent verses. The basses will be the last ones who enter. Listen for that part. You can imagine Bill singing. And if you know it, you're welcome to sing along. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who will wear the starry crown, good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who will wear the starry crown, good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, brothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who will wear the starry crown, good Lord, show me the way. Oh, fathers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, fathers, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who will wear the starry crown, good Lord, show me the way. Oh, mothers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, mothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who will wear the starry crown, good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sinners, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sinners, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who will wear the starry crown, good Lord, show me the way. Thank you again for your presence here today. We appreciate all of you very much. And now we'll ask you to, as orderly as you can, depart in peace. You can use both exits. We'll try to do this as orderly and as quickly as we can to observe safety for everyone. And we'll play you out with some favorites. Here we go. 2, 3, 4.
Some glad morning when this life is o'er, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away.
In the morning,
When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away.
Hey, Jerry!
Oh, when the shadows of this life have gone, I'll fly away. Like a bird from prison bars have flown, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away.
in the morning,
When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Your turn, Wendell. Well, just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land where joy shall never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away.
in the morning,
When I die, hallelujah, by and by,